It may look like it's over for the R&B king. It may seem as though nothing can be done to reverse his fate. But just so we all know, the Supreme Court looks at things a lot differently from the lower courts. The Supreme Court does not take matters of mere suspicion, opinionated judgment or sentimental decisions seriously. What the Supreme Court of the land considered as serious is the set of incriminating evidence arraigned before it. And this evidence has got to be proved beyond reasonable doubt as valid. Another important thing to note about the Supreme Court of the land is that its jury is completely leak-proof and non-corruptible. They understand well that they are indeed the last line of opportunity for defendants to find justice, and because of that, they take every aspect of the cases presented before them very seriously, entertaining no nonsense. There are actually several cases very similar to R. Kelly's, whose verdicts the Supreme Court has found irrational, and has subsequently overturned. The argument being that the judgment was based on the opinion about who the defendant, as opposed to the likelihood that one committed the alleged crimes. In R. Kelly's case, the main reason the Supreme Court will likely say no to the guilty for all counts verdict, the entire trial seemed to have been revolving around the fact that R. Kelly is a bad person, and not focusing on whether he actually did commit the crimes the prosecution alleges. For the final court, this tandamounts to prejudicial ruling, and by all cases has to be overturned in order to give justice to both the defendant and the accuser. There are indeed so many holes in the guilty for all counts verdict. If the prosecution imposes 10 charges against the defendant, they must provide concrete evidence for each and every individual charge, showing that beyond reasonable doubt, the defendant committed those crimes one by one. Generalizing, however, that the defendant is a very bad person and because of his behavior, he must have committed the crimes is not proof beyond reasonable doubt. This in normal terms therefore should not attract a guilty for all counts kind of ruling. Claims of physical abuse must be backed by evidence of bodily injuries or scars, and medical reports to back up the claim. Only a proper medical examination can prove physical and sexual abuse, not hearsay. If all the courts decided to operate along hearsay and guesswork, I bet each one of us would be in jail. There is no single person in this world who doesn't have enemies and fake friends that will voluntarily spread hateful propaganda leading to imprisonment. If all these are given an ear by the courts of law, everyone will probably get a turn behind bars, and therefore the need for the Supreme Court to be as non-corruptible as possible. Another case the prosecution will have to explain to the Supreme Court will be why so many witnesses, some non-viable for the case. If the purpose for this was to have as many people as possible telling court the wrong things R. Kelly did with them, this was a huge mistake as it equates to prejudice, making the entire ruling prejudicial and non-acceptable by the Supreme Court. The High Court of the land simply doesn't entertain the strong sentimental desire to make someone look guilty. They like that all steps be taken before passing a judgment, and that they be taken as systematically as possible to avoid misinterpretation. For all the right reasons therefore, it is more than likely that should R. Kelly's case go to the Supreme Court, it will not return the same ruling as before, and this will either mean reduced charges and shorter sentence, or a complete overturn to see R. Kelly a freeman again. According to Brenda Jones, indeed, you cannot convict someone because his haters are trying their best to make him appear to be a bad guy. Justice has got to look beyond such petty acts of love and hatred. It should only be because there is proof that he committed the alleged crimes, not because of what transpired from some documentary that aired on a certain television channel. It's even difficult to understand why this show was aired. It could have been to entertain their viewers and boost the channel coverage. Follow such and you will have commercialized the justice system. I am happy to note that the Supreme Court thinks rather differently, and that it has an independent approach to matters of judgment. The possibilities of a retrial or an appeal in a higher court are R. Kelly's only hope to regain his freedom. If they too handled matters carelessly, it would be a total disservice to the government and the citizens of this our nation. According to Joe, probably he gets out, but he definitely has got a long road ahead of him before he ever returns to freedom. The useless New York so-called defensive team he had might as well have been working for the prosecution. Nicole Becker pretty much got him convicted when she was done with her opening statements. And the very crazy guy that did the closing arguments locked his cell door on behalf of the prosecution. Any lawyers after this group of incompetents really has a lot of cleanup work to do that could take years. In any case, we pray this is shortened for the good of the R&B king, who we feel has had enough of this place called the MDC. According to Parker Jones, the rumors about R. Kelly sounded very convincing and I almost bought into it. This is because there were certain claims of things he did that I don't subscribe to. But the truth is now clear. Much of these were simply lies. The R&B king was indeed railroaded. His people turned against him. Many people played a role in his downfall. An example is the legal team that misrepresented him, likely on purpose. When he gets out of prison, he will likely open multiple lawsuits, as he indeed has a case. I am happy to learn that the Supreme Court is indeed as supreme as it sounds. It's great to know that they do not simply take things the way they appear to be. A little digging does not hurt, yet makes a huge difference. A lack of proper information can cause the life of somebody to be put to an end. One thing that makes the R. Kelly case look so prejudicial is the way the government was willing to keep him locked up behind bars, even before the New York trial begun. His life was literally taken away from him. Now coming to 4 years, I sometimes wonder what he will be salvaging in case. According to Sheila Hollingsworth, the Supreme Court judges ought to be paid well. They seem to be doing a good job, and paying them a top salary can only enhance their performance. They need to be as comfortable as possible while they do an incredible job analyzing some of the most complicated cases as R. Kelly's. Thank you for watching LFN News, a production of LFN Media, giving you another view of issues at hand. To get notified whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. And remember to give us your comment on the subject matter below.